guys, Katy Huller here, and today I want to talk to you about that hard C or soft C. Now, if you haven't heard of what a hard C or a soft C is, let me explain. Usually, we're taught that C makes the K sound. That would be the hard C sound. But sometimes, as you've probably noticed, C can say S, like an S in a word. That's considered its soft sound. So hard sound, soft sound. How do you know which sound to make for a C? Especially when we have two C's together. And sometimes they're both saying K, sometimes they're saying K and S, and it just gets confusing unless you know the trick. So let me help get that straightened out for you. So remember, C has two sounds. Could be K, could be S, right? So in a word where you see two C's, you might think you only need to say K the first time and ignore the second letter. I've heard a lot of teachers teach that before. If you see the same letter, just make the sound once, forget the second. No, I wouldn't do that. As you know, I like to divide between twins, okay? And I think that's really important. If you don't know that, check my video on how to quickly and easily divide up big words. And a lot of times you'll see it's right in between these doubles. And I like to let one of the twins go on this side and the other twin go on this side. Now with C's, there's a special rule to figure out whether it's making the hard sound K or the soft sound S. And here's how you can tell. If a C has an E, I, or a Y after it. So see the C's arms here? If the C is pushing the E, the I, or the Y, you need to make that S sound. There may be exceptions, but that's the typical rule. If the C has his arms touching anything else, it will usually be the K sound. So, again, not all rules are 100%. I'm sure there's an exception or many exceptions, but this is a general rule to help you figure out words. And it works really well. I use it all the time. So there may be some weird words that aren't really from English that break this rule, but this is a general rule. Remember, if those hands are touching and E, I, or Y, say S, because he's trying to scare his good friends. He sneaks up on them and he goes S like a snake, and he makes them scream out whatever they were saying in the word. So let's see how that works here. So you want to look, is this C touching an E, I, or a Y? No. So this one sounds like a K. K. But look at this one. There are his arms touching that E, I, or Y. So that one is going to sound like this snake because he's sneaking up on the E, I, or Y, and he goes S, and makes them shout out whatever they were saying in the word. Where here he was saying he will still say that. All right, so when we read this, we would go ack, and then we have to remember to switch sounds for this one. Sept, sept. So we have accept, accept. Do you know what accept means? It often gets confused with another word, accept. But they mean very different things. Accept means to accept something. If I gave you this expo marker, would you accept it? Would you welcome it or take it. This one, except, notice the X beginning. Well, except means like everyone can go on the field trip except for the ones who didn't return their permission slips. This is to exclude people or things. Everyone can go except the ones who didn't bring back their permission slips. So don't get these confused. I like to think of this one as action. You accept something. Okay, A for action. All right, let's look at this one now. So look at the first C. Is it touching an E, I, or Y? No, it is not. So this is the one that will sound like the K. Let's see if this one will. Well, this one is touching an E, I, or Y. So this one will say what? S, because he's acting like that snake sneaking up on the E, I, or Y. S. So you have to remember the I will still make it sound. It shouts out because the C scares it. Because that's what it was saying in the word. So when we read this, we're going to read it in parts. Remember, we go one past the vowel and then we break it. So here we go. Ack, id, sid, ent. When we put it together, we have to keep part 1, part 2, and part 3. So we say ack, sid, ent. Ack, sid, ent. And if your child is having trouble hearing the parts being put together, you could try just putting 1 and 2 together. Ack, sid, and then adding 3. Ack, sid, ent. Ack, sid, ent. Ack, sid, ent. And you just try to keep going faster. Let them say it a few times if they don't hear it, until finally they go, oh, accident. Like it was just an accident. I didn't mean to do it. Accident, okay? So notice we can have 2 C's and they can each make different sounds. So it's really important that you and your kids know why they're saying what they're saying if you're depending on the code to read the words, which I hope you are looking at the code because they tell you what to say. All right, let's look at this one. So is this C touching an E, I, or Y? No. So this one's going to sound like the K, K, hard sound. And this one again is touching an E, I, or Y, in this case the E. So it's still going to say whatever it was saying because the C sneaks up, scares it, makes it shout out, which is what it's saying in this word. So here we go. Suck, suck, s, cess, suck, cess, success. So I hope this has been a big success for you. I hope this has been eye-opening and you're like, oh, now I get it. I hope you are a success when you try to read words, all right? Or that you experience success. So now let's look at these 2 because you might think, oh, so every time I see 2 C's, the first one will be like a K and the second will be like a S sound. No, that's not always true. So look at this word. Let's break it here, break it there. Remember, we go 1 past the vowel. I see a trick here. Do you know what O and the R say when they're together? They say or. The reason these 2 C's are here are to protect this A from a trick, because if that trick could reach the A, it would make it say its name, and we don't want it to. So they doubled the C's. But if we don't see that, we can still use our same rule. Is this C touching an E, I, or a Y? No. So it's going to sound like the hard C sound. K. And what about this one? Is this C touching an E, I, or Y? No. So it is also going to sound like the K sound. Okay? So here we go. We're going to read it. Ack. We know this is a because it has double C's after it. Ack. K. Or, core. And then we have our d. Ing. Ding. Ack. Core. Ding. According. According to the calendar, it is whatever day it is when you're watching this. According. All right, or according to the news report, it is supposed to snow. So whatever you want to use that with. Now let's look at this one. Notice there's an I here, and this confuses a lot of people because they think, oh, an I is touching the C. But remember, it's not if the I touches the C, it's if the C touches an E, I, or a Y with his arms. So in this case, who's the C touching? Another C. That's going to be the K sound. Who's this C touching? A lot of people get confused. They say, oh, he's touching a vowel. It must be the S. No, no, no. Only if he touches the E, the I, or the Y. So, check it. If he's not touching an E, I, or Y, it's not going to be the snake arms. It's just going to be another K sound. Okay? So here we go. H, ick, hick, k, up, cup. Remember, when we have double C's, it tells us this will be a short vowel sound. So, hick, cup, hiccup. Like if you get the hiccups, like that. So, hiccup. So I hope this helps, just with some of that C confusion that so many people struggle with. When does it say ka? When does it say s? Now you know the rest of the story. So check it out. See what your C's are touching, and then you'll know what to say. Now, if you need more tips like this to teach your kids how to read and write, make sure you look up the Black Belt Reading Program because I put in so many tricks that your kids just absolutely must know to read and write. And not only that, I've included all the work you need to really drill them into them. There are words to read in isolation, sentences to read, words to call out for your child to spell, sentences to call out. There are fill-in-the-blank sentences to help you work on comprehension, stories to read. There's just all sorts of things in there, games to play. So if you want to check that out, look up our Black Belt Reading Program. You can find it at kidscanonlineacademy.com or at kidscanreadandwrite.com. And of course, I'll put all the links in the description. So just hop over there if you're interested in seeing what's available to help your child learn tricks like these so they can read and write anything, not just memorized words. So I hope this helps, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget to give that thumbs up and to subscribe so you can get all the latest tricks. Thanks again. Hope to see you again soon.